The new House Speaker is calling this week's mass shootings in Maine a tragedy, but says it is not the time to talk about any new gun safety legislation.
We are receiving information about this horrific tragedy. It has moved everyone in the Congress, as you might imagine. Our hearts go out to all those involved, the families, of course, of the victims, and we're so grateful for law enforcement. We trust and hope and pray that they're able to apprehend this individual as quickly as possible. There's no more injury or loss of life.
At the end of the day, the problem is the human heart. It's not guns, it's not the weapons. At the end of the day, we have to protect the right of the citizens to protect themselves, and that's the Second Amendment. And that's why our party stands so strongly for that. This is not the time to be talking about legislation. We're in the middle of that crisis right now.
Joining us now, founder of the conservative website, The Bulwark, our friend Charlie Sykes. Charlie, it seems to me this is exactly the time to talk about gun legislation. And it does seem that guns have a role to play here. It's not just the human heart. But talk to us about this dynamic you're seeing here. It's another horrible mass shooting and yet another moment where Republicans, at least most of them, don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, we've been here before, haven't we? I mean, this is depressingly familiar. This call that this is not the time to talk about whether there's any public policy that can prevent this kind of tragedy. Well, of course, this is exactly the time that we need to discuss this. I mean, but I feel like this is this dark Groundhog Day that we continually have. We have a mass horror, the same sort of deflection, the same sort of refusal to deal with it in any sort of a serious manner, and then it's rinse and repeat. I have to say that this is one of the things where I worry that our political class has become completely numbed. If this was a terrorist attack, if this was, some foreign invader who had killed this many people, this country would mobilize. We would not have the new Speaker of the House of Representatives saying there's absolutely nothing that we can do, that it is an insoluble problem. And yet here we are once again. And Jonathan will be back here again, having this exact same conversation. Maybe within a few months, maybe within a few weeks, but we know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I sadly suspect you were right, Charlie. Many disappointed with Speaker Johnson's comments there about this mass shooting. Beyond that, what's your early read on his first couple days with the gavel? He certainly, as we just talked about in the last block, has a lot of challenges ahead. Do you think he's going to be able to keep these extreme right-wingers at bay?
Well, look, it's a short-term honeymoon, but it's more like a reprieve because he has the main problems that have destroyed every other Republican speaker are still in place, right? I mean, you have a caucus that is not interested in governing, that is prepared to burn things down. That has not changed. This is a very, very divided conference. They still hate one another. All of the things that led to the ouster of the end of John Boehner's speakership, Paul Ryan's speakership. You just run down the list of that. All of those things, all of those factors are still in place, and this is still Donald Trump's party. So he may have a few days. He may have a little bit of elbow room. He is not going to have a tremendously long runway to be able to do a lot of things. I mean, clearly already on Ukraine, he's being squeezed. But the fundamentals have not changed, and they're not going to change.
So, Charlie, let's get your assessment. You mentioned him on where things stand for Donald Trump right now. He spent some time in a New York courtroom this week. He continues to try to clean up comments he made about Israel when that war began. He and so many of his opponents are heading to Las Vegas this weekend for the RJC. Do you see anything at all that's changing the contours of this race?
No, not so far. I mean, we've been. This is again the same old. I mean, he continues to put out absolutely deranged tweets. He pitches a fit in a courtroom. He is sanctioned by a judge. And yet nothing has moved the Republican electorate. So we may have this very brief moment in the House where Republicans have papered over their dysfunction, but the dysfunction runs awfully deep, and it starts right at the top.
And so, Charlie, let's look ahead a little bit to next year. We assume, at least for now, Trump comes out as the Republican nominee. Any president, they run for re-election, the health of the economy is so vital. U.S. got a great GDP number yesterday. The White House taking some credit for that. Is that going to ease some of the anxiety that's sort of creeping up in Democrats as they look toward a potential Biden-Trump rematch?
It'll only ease the anxiety when the poll numbers start to move. There's clearly a disconnect between some of the economic numbers and the approval ratings of Joe Biden. For some reason, the American public is not willing to give him credit, does not have confidence in him, and he's going to have to close that gap. Now, he's got time to do that. There's often a lagging, a lag between the time that the economic numbers come around and the vibes come into line with it. And that's the problem right now. So I don't expect that. And frankly, I think that there ought to be anxiety among Democrats. I mean, when you look at this political universe with Donald Trump facing 91 felony charges on a daily basis, reminding us how utterly unfit he is for office. And yet there are indications that he is competitive nationally and also in the swing states. So if there's a time to be nervous, this is the time.
All right. Founder of the conservative website, The Bulwark, Charlie Sykes, thank you, my friend. Have a good weekend.